welcome to Nightmare County. I'm your host, Rando M. Ghoul. Tonight's episode, I want to do something just a little bit different. Something short and sweet. Well, I'm going to try to keep it short. Most of the time when I say that, I make a 30-minute long video talking about random things along with the movies I'm trying to talk about. But this video is literally going to be about just random things, especially things that I'm asked. And one of the things that I am asked most from people who either watch the videos or just random people I talk to when I start talking about horror is, what is my favorite genre? I've touched on this a little bit before, and most of the time you would think it would be the Universal Classic Monster movies as my favorite genre of films, creature features. But it's not, even though I adore those and I hold those old Universal Classic Monster movies close to my heart. It would be slasher movies. That is literally my favorite genre, period. And it all started whenever I saw Halloween when I was 10 years old with my dad. I'll never forget the night I got to watch that, because I felt like that was, I think of every movie to watch with my parents, that was like my first real horror movie viewing experience, and that was with my dad. And he let me watch. He figured I was old enough to where I could watch like Halloween. And that movie terrified me. From the music, from the shape, Michael Myers to having a babysitter. I literally put together that if you have a babysitter, then that meant that some maniac was going to come and try to kill you just to get to the babysitter. So I never wanted a babysitter after watching the movie. But I loved Halloween. I love that entire series. And I love other slasher movies. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Burning, The Prey are just some of the ones that I really do adore. And I think later on I'm going to probably do a video on top 10 slasher movies that are not as popular as they should be. Or that are, you're always seeing stuff on Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. You're always seeing stuff on those. I think I'd like to do a video more or less based on the top 10 like random slasher movies you might not have heard of. Like I mentioned earlier, like The Prey or Madman or The Burning. Within the horror genre, people who love slasher movies, those movies are usually touched on. But for y'all, I'd like to do a video that touched on those, and maybe somebody else would find those slasher movies as well. So slasher movies are definitely my number one favorite genre. Number two would be zombie movies. And back when I watched zombie movies, I first got into zombie movies, they were not popular whatsoever. There was no Resident Evil, there was no 28 Days Later, there was no Dawn of the Dead remake either, or the Walking Dead series whatsoever. There's none of that. And it was hard to find zombie movies, like I guess during the mid-90s, especially when I found them. But I got lucky. One night when we had Prime Star, the satellite dish, my parents were gone, and there's no one else in the house but me. I got Night of the Living Dead remake by Tom Savini. Tom Savini came on Encore, and I'll never forget watching that movie. I sat down, and of everything in that movie that I loved, I love that movie. It's literally my favorite zombie movie. Even though I love Romero's films, Tom Savini's remake of Night of the Living Dead, this holds a special place in my heart when it comes to zombie movies. Is a scene where she's in the house and the big zombie just falls from the stairs onto the floor. That scared me as a kid, and it made me realize that when it came to zombies, like no more was safe, and you could have big zombies falling from the sky on top of you. So literally, after watching that movie that night, I was so into that movie and scared of a zombie apocalypse happening that night. And I was probably, at this time, probably 11. My overactive imagination started going off, and I started planning out what I would do if there was a zombie apocalypse. And the house we lived in was up quite a bit, and we had a porch. So I was trying to think how I could block the porch from zombies getting onto the porch and then getting into the house. And I'll never forget my parents coming home that night, and they couldn't get in because the door was blocked. I had pushed all the furniture up against all the doors because that was the only way to actually get into our house, was to go up the stairs and go to the door, because there's no way someone could reach from the window from the ground level. And that was my plan, that I was going to block all the areas off. That way, the two main doors they had steps to, I'd put everything in front of so that someone couldn't open them. And worst thing ever. And it was like 3 o'clock when my parents came back. They're knocking on the door. They can't get in because I got all this furniture up against it. So yeah, zombie movies are definitely my second favorite genre, and right behind all that is definitely creature features. And my favorite, or the one creature feature that holds a special place for me, is The Blob, the remake. So there's something about the remake I just absolutely love. I mean the 1980s. I love anything from the 80s, late 70s, early 90s, but mainly the 80s is my favorite decade of movies when it comes to sci-fi and horror, or even fantasy. But I love the Blob remake. There's everything about that movie is amazing to me. But as a kid, when I saw that movie, it's when Halloween, Night of the Living Dead remake, and the Blob remake scared the hell out of me as a kid. And I'll never forget that I was afraid of drains because of the Blob. After I saw that one scene where the dude gets sucked down into the drain, I was so afraid that something was going to rise up and come through the toilet, come through the sink or the bathtub. And I was so scared that whenever I didn't want to take showers. I always wanted to take baths, because in my mind I thought that if I put a plug to fill up the bathtub, and we had an old clawfoot tub, so if you put that stopper in, there's no way the Blob could get up there and get to me. And then I thought, well, I'll stack stuff on top of the toilet seat lid so nothing can come through the toilet. And if anything came out of the sink, I was just screwed. But for some reason, as a kid, I thought those things were going to protect me and keep me safe. Stupid, but hey, that's what I thought would work. But to this day, I think those are like my 3 most watched horror movies that I always go back to. I put them on just to enjoy, and I know all the dialogue and every scene that's fixing to happen in those films. And I love being able to show people the Blob remake, Night of the Living Dead remake, and Halloween. A few other horror movies I enjoy showing to people is definitely Tremors. I think there are certain movies that are very accessible for non-horror fans to get into and watch, and these movies, along with like Tremors and a few others, are really just films. I can watch Tremors like every day because it's just a fun movie, and it does have a creepy premise, but they use it and then they just make jokes out of it the entire time, pretty much, and making it's a horror action comedy, and it's awesome. But there's certain films I think that you can use to bring people who don't probably like horror movies in to enjoy. Now, I am probably one of the worst reviewers of movies because I like so much. I hardly hate horror movies or sci-fi films or anything. Now, there are some bad ones out there, but even when they're bad, I still enjoy them. They're so bad that they're good. It's very, very few times have I ran into a movie that just was so bad I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. Probably one of the worst bad movies that I've ever seen in my life was King Cobra. This was during the late 90s, whenever Anaconda had came out and started off the giant animal craze, or animals going amok craze again. Because Anaconda came out, and then right after that, you had a whole bunch of giant snake movies coming out. You had Python, you had King Cobra, you had Komodo. I mean, it was just Lake Placid had came out as well. So you had all these, was it Deep Blue Sea? All these animals run amok films, or animals killing everybody. I mean, people films started coming out. So it was a really cool time, I think, during the late 90s that people kind of forget about. Because a lot of people look back on the 90s and they think, man, the 90s kind of sucked when it came to horror. And the 90s did suck when it came to horror. I mean, yeah, you had Scream, you had I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend. I mean, I don't know if you call a lot of these, some of these classics. I mean, you call it Scream a classic, and probably I Know What You Did Last Summer, but all the other ones, not so much. And for some reason, the 90s was like CGI, had started really kicking off, especially after Jurassic Park. So it's like we'll make these giant reptile or I don't even know what you call them. I guess shark movies, all with CGI, because it's like you just had a flux of movies coming out all of a sudden. And I think people forget about that, especially about the late '90s with Anaconda, Lake Placid, and all those direct-to-video films. And some of those direct-to-video films that use CGI were actually pretty decent. Like, I think the first Komodo was pretty decent. But there is a scene where there's a bunch of Komodos, and they just look like they look like blobby-looking lizards attacking stuff. But they were all fun. I mean, they're so bad they're good. King Cobra, on the other hand, is, oh man, it has one of the most hilarious scenes I've ever seen in a movie before. And it's not hilarious because it's funny. It's hilarious because it's just filmed horribly bad. And but it's one of those films that I constantly tell people they need to watch if they want a good laugh. Just expect something really bad when they're gonna watch it. But yeah, I just want to make this quick little videos, talk about a few of the things. I mean, I'll probably answer more questions later on in videos and stuff. But and my videos will start picking up, making more. I'll start making more videos as time progresses. Right now, I've been traveling a lot this summer, so that's the reason why the videos have been not hardly making any of them here lately. I mean, I made 2 last week, but this week again I've been traveling across state and stuff. But I want to make this quick little video as I'll be traveling here in the next couple of days. But I'm gonna make more videos, probably wherever I'm at. That's why you'll see a different freaking background pretty much every single time. But when I get back home and everything, I look forward to making more videos. I'm still gonna do my circus carnival horror films. I'm gonna do the probably do an episode like every week, picking a icon of horror you might not have heard of, and doing a little bit of info on them. And then doing some more top 10 lists. Like I said, I'm going to do the top 10 random slasher movie lists, because I always love finding random movies of a genre that people don't know about. Like there's plenty of zombie movies out there I think that people would enjoy that they might not have heard of. Because there's a lot of Italian zombie movies that are just fantastic. If you like zombie movies. But yeah, I think since I did an H.P. Lovecraft video, I'm gonna do an Edgar Allan Poe video, top 10 movies based on on Edgar Allan Poe's literary works. Because there's quite a bit on when it comes to films based on Edgar Allan Poe's work, and I look forward to doing that. And I'm gonna try to make my videos a little bit better, add a little bit more, put like stock footage in it and everything, add more videos and stuff to what I'm talking about. But yeah, I just want to thank y'all for the people who have been sticking around and commenting and writing me and telling me to keep going, and they're enjoying the content that I am putting out. And I'm going to keep doing it and getting better, because that's all I can do, and I will do. But yeah, and then I'll probably do like my favorite. Oh yeah, if you want to listen to really awesome podcasts on horror, I want to talk about this too, because this is if you like hearing people talk about horror movies and such. One of my favorite horror podcasts is I Hate Horror, the I Hate Horror Show podcast with Sean and Joe. That is literally probably one of the funniest podcasts I've ever listened to when it comes to people talking about horror, because they literally will pick your favorite movies and they make jokes, they make fun of it, and then they praise it. And that's what it reminds me of a lot of what it was like to be around my friends and we just talk about horror movies. It was fun to love horror movies so much and also tear them apart at the same time, because at the end of the day, some horror movies, the plots are just implausible and dumb, but we enjoy them. But it's one of the best podcasts, and I think they came back here just almost a year ago now. It seems like, and they've been hitting out of the ballpark with every episode. But yeah, if you ever want to listen to a good podcast, like on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, I Hate Horror show, definitely look them up, as there are, to me, one of the best ones out there. And there's a few other good podcasts, and I'll probably end up bringing those up along as well in each subsequent video that I make. And yeah, so yeah, I want to thank you for watching this, and if you want to, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And I got a few unboxings I'll be doing here in the next few weeks. I got an unboxing from Fright Crate. I got one of the last boxes that they're not going to be making boxes, it seems like, for the future and everything. So I look forward to unboxing their last box they made whenever it gets sent out, and a few others. So I look forward to doing that and showing y'all what cool things you can get in these mystery boxes and such. And there's a few other companies still doing it, even though Fright Crate are closing doors and stuff. So, like I said, I want to thank y'all for everything, and don't be a stranger, and tune in.